Did you grow up feeling like you needed to be the easy one, the quiet one, or the one that didn't need anything? There's a term for that. It's called the glass child. This is a term that was coined by an advocate and a speaker named Alicia Maples, who did a TED Talk explaining her own experience being the glass child. And what it is basically where you had another sibling that was maybe disabled, had a chronic illness, or just was more needy than you and needed more of your parents' attention. And because of this, you then felt like you had to be in the background, you had to be the good one, you had to take on more responsibilities and not need anything from your parents because they were attending to your other sibling that required more. So if you can relate to this, you're going to want to stick around for this video, and at the end we'll talk about how to heal. Let's get into today's video. So when you're a glass child, it basically means that people or your parents were seeing right through you. And your parents may have unintentionally made you feel like you couldn't have needs because they were giving so much of their attention onto your sibling. And so because they unintentionally would make it appear that way, you then would read the situation and take things on yourself. So you may have learned to suppress your emotions so you don't add on to the stress of your parents. Your parents may have said, hey, you know, you're usually the good one, you usually have it all together, I know you could handle this on your own, when you do go ask them for help. If you're someone that was the glass child, you may be hyper independent and emotionally dependent way too young. And you also may constantly strive to be perfect because your parents always would give you that affection and attention when you were doing the right thing. Like, oh, you're such a good girl, you're the good boy, you always do such a good job, like I'm so proud of you. And they focus on you being this good child rather than seeing you as a person that also has needs, and you're not just good and always doing good. So as a glass child, some things you may have suffered with is emotional neglect. So your parents may not have intentionally did this, or maybe they did depending on the parent, but they neglected you emotionally because they were having a hard time handling two kids at once, or even multiple kids at once, where one required more attention than the other. So your needs would often come second or not at all. This leads to feelings of being unimportant, invisible, or feeling like a burden. Next is high responsibility. You may take on adult roles early on. You may help take care of your sibling, you may minimize your own issues, or you may try to make up for your sibling's struggle. So you will overcompensate for the struggles that they have, you will overcompensate and do much better than them. And again, this comes from getting more attention, that positive attention from your parents when you do well. Next is guilt and suppression. Many glass children have emotions like all people do, and they may struggle with envy or jealousy or anger, and because they don't feel like they're allowed to have these emotions because they have a sibling that requires more attention, and maybe they're troubled themselves or whatever it is, they then as a glass child will suppress all of these emotions, and they may have unhealthy outlets. They may do self-harm, they may have suicide ideation, they may isolate themselves, they may become a bully in school, like they may have unhealthy outlets to deal with the suppressed emotions. Or it may come out with anxiety and depression, where they're having panic attacks, they feel a lot of stress on top of them. And then the next thing is striving for perfection. So again, because you get that attention because you're the good boy or girl, or you're the good one, you then are like, okay, I have to be perfect, I always have to do the right thing because the only way I get my parents' attention is when I do the right thing. So in your dynamics, you will be the overachiever, the caretaker, the responsible one, or the perfectionist. And you may be really hard on yourself and shame yourself if you are a glass child. You will struggle with a lot of negative self-talk. Some other things you may notice is you rarely ask for support because you don't feel like you deserved it, because you're supposed to be good, you're always supposed to have it together, you're not supposed to ever be negative or have needs. And you also may notice you feel uncomfortable being the center of attention. If you are ever getting any type of attention, it makes you very uncomfortable because you usually are used to being in the background and not being seen. So how you carry this on into adulthood is that you will try to be an overachiever in your work and in your relationships. You'll put everyone first in your relationships. You will not be aware of your needs or ever attend to your needs. Your identity is centered around being the perfect one that does the right thing. So you truly don't know yourself or have a true identity of who you are. It's more so, I can't make mistakes, I can't do things wrong, I have to be good. And you may notice that if you are a sufferer, that you may have resentment for your sibling because of the attention they got, and you will have guilt over it because you still are, at the end of the day, a compassionate, empathetic person, and you see that they need the help, but there's a part of you that feels like you've been wronged or hurt, and you don't feel like you're allowed to feel those feelings. So you really struggle. You may also notice you really struggle with selfishness and the idea of being selfish. Like, you don't feel like you're allowed to be selfish. You always feel like you have to put everyone first and give everything of yourself to everyone. And if there's ever a moment of you taking care of yourself, you feel guilt or bad or like you're doing something wrong. So how do you heal from this? One, I have a lot more deeper videos on healing the inner child, which I will leave right here. I also have a workbook on emotional regulation, which I also will leave right here, and an anxiety at the root book, which I'll leave right here. But what I will say is that the core problem is you feeling like you weren't allowed to be yourself or have your own needs. So now it's you grieving over that and grieving you being robbed of a childhood experience with parents that attended you. Even if your parents didn't mean to, it doesn't matter. People do things that they don't mean to, and they still have to be held accountable. So you need to hold your parents accountable, and you can still do it with compassion and say, like, I understand they did the best they could and they were overwhelmed and that's sad, but they still hurt me. And you really need to grieve over that and give your child self that, because your child self deserves that recognition and acknowledgement. And so you want to feel sad for that. And the next is by becoming aware and getting through and understand and ask yourself some questions like, what did I not receive that I needed? Where am I abandoning myself today because I was ignored? How can I advocate for myself without guilt? Once you answer some of those questions, it will help you to give you a guide of how to live more in authenticity and how to be more aware of your needs. Because when you are that glass child, you have no idea what your needs are. They are completely suppressed. You only do what you think is the good boy and girl thing to do rather than what is best for you. So you need to start to do trial and error. You need to make mistakes. You need to mess up. You need to deal with that guilt, and you need to figure out, okay, what helped me deal with this problem in the moment that benefits me, and it's not just about everyone else. And you also really want to work on self-parenting language and self-soothing language, and you letting your emotions come to light and acknowledging them and giving them power. Be like, hey, I'm feeling this emotion, it's here to tell me something, and I need to feel it and acknowledge it and be with it, and I need to soothe myself through this emotion and not try to suppress it or think it's wrong or bad or feel shame for this emotion. It is important. You are a person with needs, and you are lovable and worthy, and you need to start acting like it. So take care of yourself. Attend to the things that you need, like physical boundaries, your mental health. What is it that would make your life easier, and what makes you feel good? And this does, like I said, requires failing. So what do you guys think? Leave it all in the comments below, and please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share with someone that you think may need it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye guys. I was working on my laptop, and my toddler kicked my laptop on the floor and my charger broke. So I'm waiting in the mail for another charger. But I haven't had a computer in a few days. It's crazy the things that happen behind the scenes that you don't even know. Like, you have a favorite YouTuber that you're waiting for their video and you're just like, oh, why aren't they posting? But in reality, their house got robbed and they have no computer or no video to show, and they can't even communicate that because they don't have access to their YouTube because all their passwords were in the YouTube. It happens. Their passwords were in the YouTube. This is a term that was coined by Alicia Keys. Alicia who? We got Alicia Keys and we got Alicia Maples.